musically, we have completed our journey of going through the album from beginning to end, which you do recommend for people at least once to sort of go on that journey with you.
Yeah, the songs exist on their own, and you can, listen to them individually whenever you want, and we all have favorite songs and all that kind of stuff. But I do hope people realize that when artists like myself put these things together, that it's a whole, and we'd like you to at least experience it. Would you indulge me and listen as a whole, and then after that, do what you want. So I'm just asking. I can't make you.
We've talked a lot about the impact on the songs of what we're going through.
Yep.
How has what we've been going through impacted the creation of the album? Because you had to create an album in COVID.
Well, you know what? There was something kind of funny about it. Like, okay, I have never been able to record an album and stick at it and stay in the zone because I'm always touring. And so this is the first time I've been able to sort of, Dave and I and producers sort of get in there and just stay there, stay in this sort of this womb of creation without having to kind of go, okay, I'm going to be back next Tuesday. I got to catch a flight in 3 hours. And
right.
You're just constantly. So the gift of COVID for us in terms of this project was we got to get into the studio and just stay in that mindset. And so there was something lovely about it. I've never enjoyed recording like I did this one.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And you played a lot more instruments.
I played a lot of the instruments myself, and it's not like we can't access other musicians through the internet because you do that these days, But it's also gave us permission to sort of stay at home and do something a little, back porchy. We don't quite have to be quite as flashy maybe or something. Like nobody expects as much from us during COVID. And so
there's a lot of grace now.
There's a lot of grace. And so, I played bass on, several of the songs. Well, I'm not a bass player. My son's, 10 times a bass player than I am. There's Joe Fournier who plays in the album and stuff. But I wanted to play.
Can I just thank you for playing the flugelhorn too? That was beautiful. I love
horn.
that.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I used to be a horn player, and I'm not really anymore, but I can still pull it out. And so I gave myself permission, in a sense, to do these things. And so it feels very personal to me. It feels a little folk. I don't want to say folkier, but folksier, in that sense. And I also hope that people, one of the problems of telling people what the song is about is it can kind of ruin it for them in terms of what the song could be for them.
Right.
And so as an artist, I also want to say, please let the song be for you what it wants to be. You don't have to wear me, put it on, put on the cardigan, and see how it looks on you,
right.
or so art is that way. The artist usually has some investment from their history and what they want it to mean. But in the end, it's like having a child. And you have hopes and dreams for that child, but in the end, you have to let the child be who they are, right? And they're gonna, they may go to college or they may not.
You have to be okay with that.
Yeah, you have to be okay with that. And so whatever aspirations you have, when you write a song or create a piece of art, in the end, you're giving birth to something that has its own integrity, and you have to let it go. And so with this, I can let it go. I've told you my stories, and now let them be.
In the past, you've referenced songwriting to creating a piece of art and having a parent sort of say, "Oh, well, that's a really nice, whatever." And you're doing that. You're sort of offering your art to God as your papa, as your daddy.
Yeah, who takes your piece of art and says, "Well, see, the direct reference is here is when you've got a child and your child comes home from grade 1 with that piece of art and it's just scribble." And you learn very quickly not to say, "Oh, that's a nice elephant," because they'll break out crying because it's an alligator, right? And so you learn very quickly to say, "Tell me about it." And so then they say, "Well, that's an alligator." You say, "Yes, it is." And then you put it on your fridge and you brag to all your friends that, that this is clearly shows some promise. And I think all of our work is kind of like that. I think we write our songs or write our books or start our churches or our family, whatever it is that we invest in, and we sort of give it to God, and God so says, "Tell me about it." But is truly joyful at this effort, and I think God's fridge is just full of the things that God's kids do, and I think God brags to his friends about his kids. that's an apt metaphor.
Absolutely. Well, I think this album is definitely going up on God's fridge.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful piece. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for recording it, and for sharing your stories about it, because I think these are all things that we need right now. You might not have known it at the time of creation, but
Right.
this is an album for where we are right now.
Good.
And so thank you so much for recording it and for sharing it with your family.
And thank you for your good questions. I appreciate it very much.
So I hope you enjoyed going on the journey with us. Of course, you can catch out all kinds of online concerts and other CDs and merchandise. Just go to stevebell.com. That's where everything's happening right now, because you've been making so much magic in this space and finding new ways to connect with people. So I would just encourage you to visit stevebell.com for more information on how you can connect with Steve. And thank you so much for joining us today for Wouldn't You Love to Know?